the Northeast Corridor, the B&O Railroad Museum, and the Western Maryland Scenic Railroad. In the summer of 2025, I got the chance to ride and see all three of these. This was a trip I made to see a relative of mine that I hadn't seen in ages. That being my grandpa Cass, who loves trains just like me, and was also an inspiration of my love of trains now, and just like me, wanted to visit these railroad places as well. And that is what we did on this trip. This trip is split into two parts. Part 1 will cover the Northeast Corridor via a ride on the Northeast Regional and the B&O Railroad Museum, plus a ride on the Crescent that I honestly did not anticipate, but we needed a convenient time to get out of Baltimore. And Part 2 will have us visit Cumberland, including a CSX yard, make some rail fans angry, mainly Norfolk Southern foamers,
CSX foamers, dude, they're fucking Norfolk Southern.
Like you're getting mad over trains.
And ride on the Western Maryland Scenic Railroad behind 1309, which is apparently hell to maintain according to one of my Discord server members. Plus something that surprised me at the end of the trip, which I'll mention when I get to it. Despite the trip only being 5 days, with only 2 of those days being actually on trains or visiting trains, there's going to be quite a bit to see here. So let's begin, shall we? First things first though, we have to actually get to DC and my grandpa's place. So I'm going to be taking a plane, but before I get to the plane, I'm going to be taking the underground people mover at DIA.
You made it in time, ladies.
Perfect.
The doors are closing. Please be safe and hold on for departure to all B gates.
After waiting for a bit, I got onto a United flight that would take me to Washington's Dulles International Airport. A few hours later, I'm above the skies of Washington, D.C. and about to land at Dulles International Airport. We've landed safely, but I am not quite done at the airport yet, as there is an underground people mover just like at DIA that I'm going to take a ride on. I got off the train, double checked that I had all my shit on me, and walked to the metro station. I'd like to introduce y'all to some old friends of mine.
I missed you.
Well, I wouldn't exactly call them that, but they were still a part of my childhood, even if I was only able to see them for a few days of the year at best. These are the Washington Metro 6000 series cars, with the most iconic Washington Metro look.
Oh my god, I've missed these cars.
And you have no idea how much I missed these cars.
Step back, doors closing. Step back, doors closing.
These 6000 series cars that I am riding on are some of the last remaining cars on the Washington Metro with that distinct Washington Metro style. The 1000, 2000, 4000, and 5000 series cars have been retired, and soon enough the 3000 and 6000 series cars will be next, as the 7000 series cars built by Kawasaki have replaced much of the older fleet, and soon enough the 8000 series cars built by Hitachi are going to come aboard the Washington Metro fleet. While we stopped at Innovation Center, I decided to take some video of the doors on the 6000 series.
Doors opening. Step back to allow customers to exit. When boarding, please move to the
Similar alert on next station. Herndon.
Step back, doors closing. Doors opening. Step back to allow customers to exit. When boarding, please move to the center of the car. Step back, doors closing.
As we travel along, let me share some of the history of the Silver Line. When the Dulles Access Road was being built, there was a section of the road that was set aside in anticipation of some kind of rail connection to Dulles ultimately happening. Throughout the latter half of the 20th century, the Dulles corridor developed majorly, but there was no rail connection. And a rail connection was studied and took place during the 90s and early 2000s. During the mid-2000s, though, they needed to make agreements regarding tax and property laws that would be put in place, as this line was going to be built in 2 phases, and they barely managed to solve it before a deadline when it came to funding for transit projects. Eventually, in 2009, all the funding agreements were put in place, and construction began for Phase 1 of what soon enough became the Silver Line.
Doors opening, step back to allow customers to exit. When boarding, please move to the center of the car.
It's like those two planes are racing each other. And the jet just happens to be faster.
Phase 1 finished construction and opened on July 26, 2014. Just a year prior, the contract was awarded to build Phase 2, which was set to open in 2018, but then got pushed back, and then COVID hit and got pushed back further. It finally opened on November 15, 2022. This station, Wiehle-Reston East, was originally the terminus of the Silver Line, as Phase 1 ended here.
Doors opening, step back to allow customers to exit. Step back, doors closing.
We cross over the former Washington and Old Dominion Railway east of Reston. However, there are proposals to have the Washington and Old Dominion become a commuter rail line. As of now, only time will tell. After doing a quick battery change, we soon enough turn away from the Dulles Access Road onto a bridge. We're going to make stops in Spring Hill, Greensboro, Tyson's, and McLean, in the town of Tyson's.
goes on the left side.
Doors opening, step back to allow customers to exit. When boarding, please move to the center of the car. Step back, doors closing.
Greensboro goes on the left side.
Doors opening, step back to allow customers to exit. When boarding, please move to the center of the car. Step back, doors closing.
We're now in a tunnel underneath Tyson's. There was actually some controversy about this tunnel, but I don't really understand it that much to entirely explain it. Although there is quite a lot of other things to explain about the Silver Line, and I think the Flying Moose's video on the Silver Line is something that I definitely recommend to you.
Doors opening, step back to allow customers to exit. When boarding, please move to the center of the car. Step back, doors closing.
McLean goes on the left side.
Step back, doors closing.
At East Falls Church Station, I would get off my Silver Line train to head onto an Orange Line train bound for Vienna. No, not Vienna, Austria, a different Vienna.
Doors opening. Back.
And just as the Silver Line train left the station, an Orange Line train that I need to get on gets into the station. This train is using 7000 series cars, and while they're nice, I don't think they're nearly as cool as the 6000s and priors. The only thing I don't like about these is the voice.
Oh my god, I hate the voices on these cars.
Opening on the left.
Could somebody theoretically jump across that track if they were fast enough with the limited space here?
those two tracks go into a tunnel for the West Falls Church maintenance yard. We also pass by a highway interchange that is definitely giving at least one urbanist cancer just by looking at it.
This is Dunwoody, Maryfield.
Vienna, I finished my ride on the Washington Metro.
Awesome.
Grandpa Cass would soon enough pick me up from Vienna, and we'd head over to his house. Unfortunately, that would be the only train-related thing I'd do for that day, but there was still some more stuff the next day. It's now the next day, and I'm at the Alexandria station, and I'm currently seeing a couple of metro trains waiting for Amtrak's Northeast Regional Train 174. Though this time I am not alone, as I am with my Grandpa Cass. We had to drive to this station, and while driving to the station, we got extremely lucky, as we witnessed a car crash and barely got out of the way in time.
Yeah?
What side of the track do we need to be on?
Right now it doesn't say for some reason.
Okay, but I see people standing over there.
Maybe if let's see what the next VRE, which track the next VRE train goes on, and then we can easily assume okay, maybe if the VRE train is going northbound on one track or another, then that's the track we need to be on.
There's 3, 2, and then there's track 1 over there behind the fence.
Yeah, I think that track over there is the freight track.
Yeah. All right, it just dawned on me. I don't know which way. There's one coming, huh?
Either that or that was the tracks of the metro. Nope, something's coming.
At around 8:25, a Virginia Railway Express train arrives at Alexandria.
Yeah. These types of cars are also used on Metro too. And until last year, these kinds of cars used to work on the Caltrain. Those Caltrain cars have been sent to Peru now. Yes, they replaced them with double-decker electric trains.
I read an article not too long ago about electric trains coming into
Didn't even think they'd blow their horns here. Oh, I think that guy looked at me funny. I think there was someone on the train that probably looked at me funny. They definitely make the engines in that various plants.
A couple of minutes later, a northbound CSX manifest train goes through the station.
I figured that track was the freight track.
Another VRE train arrives before Amtrak 151 arrives because apparently 151 was being held up at Washington Union Station.
There should be an Amtrak train, right?
Yeah.
Amtrak 151 arrives at Alexandria, pulled by Amtrak P42 DC 187 and ALC 42 312.
Yeah, those windows are ridiculously small. Oh, sorry, ma'am.
Not long after the Amtrak train came in, another VRE train bound for Washington arrives at Alexandria. Coincidentally, Amtrak 151 leaves at the same time. At around 9:20 a.m., our train, Northeast Regional Train 174, led by P42 DC 194, arrives at Alexandria.
Morning. Thank you. These are weird. Where the seats flip. Hey, is there any indication on our tickets on which seats?
No, it's just this coach.
Yeah. So this is it's probably a coach car, so well, so I think maybe we should maybe we can plop down here.
Yeah, he'll tell us if we have to.
We found a spot for us to sit in for our journey to Baltimore, and we'd wait for the train to depart. A few minutes later, we departed Alexandria.
Passengers at this time, the cafe car is now temporarily closed. The cafe car is now temporarily closed for inventory and restocking. The cafe car will reopen upon departure of Washington Union Station. An announcement.
Here's a pedestrian overpass for what I believe to be the Potomac Yard station. Potomac Yards used to be a busy interchange between the PRR, RF&P, and various other railroads that served Washington, D.C. But after the decline of the railroads in America in the 60s, the yard became redundant and abandoned. It has since been redeveloped, and an infill station here along the Washington Metro system opened recently. I believe it was 2023 or 2024. We are now passing by Crystal City. This is one of only 2 stops between Alexandria and Washington, D.C. However, both stops are operated by Virginia Railway Express. No Amtrak trains stop at either Crystal City or L'Enfant Plaza.
Hey, can I get up?
Sure. You allowed to get up?
Yeah.
I then decided to go into the cafe car.
Huh, that must be a trash train.
At 5:30. If we want to drop them off earlier. Bye, Carol. Bye. Catch y'all in the
Or maybe it's a manifest.
$30 extra. She stopped by early. She definitely was fried when she was.
Over there is the construction for the new Long Bridge. The existing Long Bridge that we're on right now is over 100 years old and only carries 2 tracks. The new Long Bridge that's being built next to the current one will have 2 tracks as well, expanding capacity and allow for more Amtrak and VRE trains to cross the bridge. The new Long Bridge is expected to open in 2030 as of the making of this video.
Dan and I have a running joke with Caroline that her parents microwave her, and that's why she's the way that she is. Caroline. I love Caroline.
In addition, these cars that we're riding in are some of the oldest cars on Amtrak. They're God's favorite tube, better known as the Amfleet type cars, built by the iconic Bud Company in the Holy Lands of Philadelphia in the 1970s. And also as a fun fact, their original seats were put in by a military subcontractor, AMI Industries, who also built the Tomahawk missile. So the Amfleets are connected to the military-industrial complex. Fun info. These days though, the Amfleets have seats that were installed in the late 2010s as a refresh before newer rolling stock arrives, but I'll get to that in a bit. That over there is the L'Enfant Plaza station, the last station on VRE trains going into DC and the first station of VRE trains going out. Again, Amtrak does not serve the L'Enfant Plaza station.
and you'll be able to luggage rack all your personal belongings. Upon route Washington, ladies and gentlemen, please on the exit where you see a member of the crew, all doors will not be open. Also, ladies and gentlemen, Washington, D.C. will be our first designated smoking stop for many passengers who are traveling past Washington. You're more than welcome to step outside on the platform. We do advise all passengers that Amtrak train number 174 is scheduled to depart.
These are the first street tunnels built between 1904 and 1906 by the Washington Terminal Company as a southern approach for trains arriving into Washington Union Station. As we exit the tunnels, we arrive onto the platforms that Amtrak trains going beyond DC and VRE trains serve. The dead-end tracks are where a majority of Amtrak as well as MARC trains serve.
It's good to be in DC. Hooray! Hooray! If oil funds catch up coupons, that's how we got to DC. You twit each. That's how we got to DC. Take note. Go vote or we'll choose who goes to DC.
Now that we're at DC, we will swap the P42 DC for an ACS 64. This is a common practice for trains going north of DC and trains going south of DC. Trains would either switch from a diesel locomotive to an electric locomotive or vice versa. This process, though, is time-consuming. Though remember that new rolling stock I was mentioning earlier? Amtrak's purchase of 83 Aero train sets are said to have dual mode for the train sets for corridor trains going beyond electrification in order to eliminate this time-consuming process for corridor trains. A good amount of the ACS 64s and Amfleets, though, will likely stay on the roster to add additional trains for just the electrified section and or be backup power. Currently, the long-distance trains don't have a dual-mode type locomotive that would eliminate the need for an equipment swap at DC, so those equipment swaps on the long-distance trains will likely remain for a bit. On one of the other tracks, a southbound train, most likely the Carolinian, is arriving in Washington, D.C. for an equipment swap before heading all the way to Charlotte. ACS 64 with the train for the NEC, and an original Acela is over there on some other tracks. The OG Acelas, though, are past their prime and are set to be replaced by Avelia Liberties, which finally went into service a few weeks ago as of the making of this video. As the P42DC leaves the platform and our train, the ACS 64s from the southbound train head onto a siding. In the meantime, the ACS 64, which is set to lead our train into Baltimore and beyond, is arriving on the platform. The ACS 64s were built from 2010 to 2016. They replaced the old but reliable AEM-7 locomotives and the newer but crappier HHP-8 locomotives. When the ACS 64s came aboard, Amtrak quietly retired the HHP-8s and triumphantly retired the AEM-7s. In addition, these ACS 64s are not only more powerful than the other two, having 8,600 horsepower, but were also reliable. As a result, Amtrak has been turning to Siemens for almost all of their rolling stock needs, although right now it is unknown whether they'll turn back to Siemens again to procure the Superliner replacements, or if they'll go for a different manufacturer to build the Superliner replacements. Amtrak is also procuring a single-level long-distance fleet to replace their Amfleet 2s and other single-level long-distance equipment, but it's also unknown if they'll turn back to Siemens or turn to another manufacturer. Also, I think the knuckle on the coach isn't open. Okay, that worked. Now that the ACS 64 is coupled on, it's time to get going. At 10:31 a.m. anyways. Also, I saw the prototype ACS 64 while climbing back on board. The Carolinian heads southbound as we wait for the all clear.
It's probably the Palmetto.
That one?
Yeah. I guess they connected the cables to the ACS 64. That must be the Carolinian. Especially the baggage car. I couldn't help but look at your
It's now
arguments.
10:31 a.m. and we have now departed Washington Union Station, headed for Baltimore. But first, our next stop will be New Carrolton.
Hey, that's the Acela Express. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's it. I remember the engine. One of those charging things. So there's the wire. Yeah, plenty of MARC trains. There's the MARC on the right.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you aboard Amtrak Regional Train 174 en route to New York City with continuing service to Boston South Station, making all intermediate stops. Our train today consists of 8 cars. The very last car of our train is business class. You must have business class. Last car is our designated quiet car. Once again, the second to the last car is the quiet car, which means just that. No talking on your cell phones in the quiet car. No loud, drawn-out, or excessive conversation allowed in the quiet car. No electronic devices that make noise in the quiet car. Once again, the second to the last car is the quiet car, which includes the quiet restrooms and the quiet vestibules. Towards the center of our train is the cafe lounge car. Again, the cafe lounge car is located towards the center of the train. In just a few minutes, conductors will be coming through to scan all tickets, so please have all tickets out or uploaded onto your mobile devices and ready for scanning, regardless of what city you board the train in. There was a crew change here in Washington, D.C. Conductors from that new crew will need to rescan the tickets if you board the train prior to Washington, so once again, please have all tickets out and ready for inspection or collection. As mandated by the Federal Transportation Security Administration, random identification checks will be performed on this train today. So please have all IDs out and ready for inspection along with the tickets. Take a moment to look over the safety instruction card located in the seat pocket in front of you. Familiarize yourself with this card, all emergency procedures. For your convenience, there are restrooms on one end of every car. Trash receptacles are located at both ends of every car. Please utilize them. For your safety, you must wear shoes while walking throughout the train. Both smoking and vaping are strictly prohibited on this train. And all sound-emitting electronic devices must be used with headphones. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Amtrak Regional Train 174 en route to New York City with continuing service to Boston South Station. Our next station stop will be New Carrolton. New Carrolton, Maryland is coming up next in approximately 10 minutes. If New Carrolton, Maryland is your destination, take this time to gather your personal belongings and make your way towards the front of the train so you can exit at New Carrolton. Once again,
Over there is the Washington Terminal Yard where MARC, VRE, and Amtrak trains are stored and maintained at before they'd head on various journeys.
3 cars to exit at New Carrolton and New Carrolton only. Again, New Carrolton, Maryland is coming up next. Exit towards the front of the train for New Carrolton. The front of the train would be the direction in which the train is traveling. All tickets out. Once again, welcome aboard.
Over there is Amtrak's Ivy City maintenance facility, its primary maintenance facility for its Acela Express train sets. However, various other pieces of equipment on Amtrak are also maintained at the Ivy City facility as well. Behind those trees is the new Spy TF2 high-speed train set for the Acela service, which has basically become a meme in my Discord server.
Frenchie!
At the time I made the trip, despite being ordered in 2016, they had been testing for years at that point due to various factors that I am not in the mood to get into. but it delayed their entry into service for 4 years. Finally though, 1 month after I made the trip, the TF2 spy train sets entered into service, although embarrassingly, the first order of Amtrak Ventures had already entered into service before them, which were ordered after the Acela 2s, which may be the cause as to why Amtrak is buying so many Arrows now.
Thank you for arriving on Amtrak. Welcome aboard.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now arriving in New Carrolton. Again, this station stop is New Carrolton, Maryland. Again, you must exit at the front of the train here at New Carrolton. This is New Carrolton, Maryland. New Carrolton, exit at the front of the train. Now arriving in New Carrolton.
We're at New Carrolton now, the end of the line for Washington Metro trains, and in a few years' time, it will be the terminus for the MTA Purple Line. I presume part of the platforms were under renovation at the time I made the trip, due to the construction. Over there are the wires and overhead catenary for the MTA Purple Line. We have now departed New Carrolton, and by this point it will only be a few minutes until we reach Baltimore. But first we'll have to stop at BWI Airport. As a side note, if you saw some of those cars have a different livery compared to the other cars, it's because Amtrak is painting their passenger cars into Phase 7 now. In the case of the Amfleets, at one end of each car, there's a section that would be colored green, while business class Amfleets would have the rainbow dash color or cyan. Viewliners are also getting Phase 7, with some sleepers and a diner already getting Phase 7.
Once again, BWI Thurgood Marshall Airport Rail Station coming up next.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now arriving at BWI Airport. This is the BWI Thurgood Marshall Airport Rail Station. Please watch your Step D training. Once again, now arriving at BWI Airport.
We have now departed BWI Airport. Next stop, Baltimore Penn Station.
Baltimore snitch.
Yeah.
As we approach Baltimore Penn Station, we pass through an egregiously slow area, and that's because we're about to enter the Baltimore and Potomac tunnels. The B&P tunnels were opened in 1873. Yes, when literally every train in America was pulled by steam engines and 440s dominated railroading. The good news, though, is that the slowness through the area is being addressed, as Amtrak has been constructing the Frederick Douglass tunnels to not only increase the speeds into Baltimore Penn Station to 100 miles per hour from the current 30 miles per hour, but also give West Baltimore
Maybe that's
Station
one
a
of the
more
things
disability
for the
accessible station.
new
The bad
Frederick
news is the
Douglass
new tunnels are
tunnels.
opening in 2035, so it's gonna be a
Because
while.
they're building a set of 2 tunnels to replace the tunnel we're about to go under.
Fort McHenry?
Huh?
Fort McHenry? That goes under the water.
We're going into the Baltimore and Potomac tunnel. The tunnel that will replace the Baltimore and Potomac tunnels are called the Frederick Douglass tunnels.
A lot of stuff maybe.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next station stop in just a few minutes will be Baltimore. Baltimore Penn Station is coming up next. If Baltimore Penn is your destination, please ensure you have all the personal belongings. Use caution, need treading. There will be a gap between the train station platform. Once again, Baltimore Penn Station coming up next.
Felt like we were going a little bit faster while we were in the tunnel, not gonna lie.
We have made it to Baltimore Penn Station. After getting out of Baltimore Penn Station, we will walk to a Baltimore Light Rail station stop and take a light rail train closer to the B&O Railroad Museum. This is CSX's Baltimore Terminal sub, one of the original main lines from the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. At the time I made the trip though, CSX was doing a tunnel project with the Howard Street tunnels in order to raise clearances for CSX intermodal trains, so that stacked trains could finally go up the East Coast.
Yeah.
CSX completed the project in September, allowing CSX stacked trains along the line for the first time.
That's now owned by CSX. But they are currently refurbishing this line so that this line could operate with double stack container trains.
Our train is here, so let's take a ride. Let's get out of here. Alright, we're heading to Convention Center Station.
Next station, Cultural Center.
No.
Please use the handrails for your safety.
This station is Cultural Center. This station is Center Street. Center Street.
What do you mean 2.3 miles from Penn Station?
That's what they said. I thought. We're going towards where the museum is?
Yeah.
Please use the handrails for your safety.
This station is Lexington Market.
This station here, Baltimore Arena, although it still says University Center / Baltimore Street, as of now only serves this light rail line, but it could be a connecting station for another light rail line. The Baltimore Red Line is something that the city has wanted for years at this point. The first proposals began in 2001, but that was canned in 2015 by Governor Larry Hogan. However, in 2023, Governor Wes Moore revived the project, with planning now going as far as to say that the Red Line will in fact be light rail. There are several proposals for the red line to stop here, including a tunnel and being surface level. Surface level running would be cheaper, but also slower and may not garner nearly as many riders, while a tunnel will be more expensive, but trains would go faster and could attract more riders. Whatever happens with red line planning and how it joins this station though, time will tell.
Station, Convention Center.
Please use the handrails for your safety.
Alright. This is our stop.
This station is Convention Center.
Over there is Camden Station. Camden Station used to be a terminal and hub for the Baltimore and Ohio, but now the Baltimore Light Rail and MARC trains use the station. MARC trains, though, are rush hour only as of the making of this video, but there are proposals for the MARC to connect Camden with the Northeast Corridor, increasing service past just rush hour. Time will tell if the connector ever happens, though.
That also served by MARC.
Before going to the B&O Railroad Museum, we ate at a Jimmy John's, which has bread so French that it must be liberated. After walking for a bit, we finally made it to the B&O Railroad Museum.
Oh, good. Are you guys members? No, I haven't.
You'll pull down here closer.
Yep.
Or, oh, you're in there now. Yeah, gotcha. Okay, we're going this way.
After walking through a corridor, we get to the roundhouse area of the B&O Railroad Museum. Here is an orgy of equipment of not just the B&O, but also many other northeastern railroads. One non-B&O locomotive here is Clinchfield 1. Clinchfield 1 is a 460 type locomotive built in 1882. It served the Clinchfield until the 1950s when it was retired. Luckily, it wasn't scrapped, and in 1968 was restored to operation by the Clinchfield, including with diesel controls, and was even seen on the Clinchfield Santa Claus trains as well as other trains on the Clinchfield for the next decade. It was retired in 1979 and donated to the B&O Railroad Museum.
to change. We have to change. Jackie, we have to change. Quick.
Over here is a mail cart that was once owned by the Maryland and Pennsylvania Railroad, aka the Ma and Pa.
Nobody stopped to eat until everybody did. And it was just that I helped you helped me do it.
1977, I was the last train that ever rode the working mail train that ever rode the rails. It was a glorious affair, full of tears and all like that. But I think if the trains were running today, I would still be on, and I'm sure some of the others, because we were very, very dedicated. We loved that job. But that was the last run. And that's a sad story.
This is a 442 Atlantic type from the CNJ, but an unusual one at that, as this is a camelback locomotive. Camelbacks are designed to have locomotives with larger fireboxes, resulting in engineer positions being located in the center of the boiler, hence the camelback name. However, it was basically next to impossible for the engineer and fireman to communicate, and eventually resulted in the camelback design getting banned. There have been more camelback locomotives such as camelback 280s, 282s, 460s, and 440s, but 592 is probably the biggest preserved camelback. Also, have you ever got desperate for a locomotive that you threw a boiler onto a flatbed? Well, that's how we got this locomotive here, the Shay.
Yeah? Huh?
Peter ever take you up to West Virginia?
No.
This is a great engine. It was done for logging, and it's the Shay. And it drives all four. This is one they actually use.
On the cast scenic?
Well, they use it to haul lumber, but watch how it operates. The pistons go up and down here, and they drive all the wheels simultaneously, so it allowed them to pull real heavy loads and go around sharp curves. I think the case, I think they still have one of these out there that they use to pull people up to mountain.
Nice.
I went outside the museum to see some more things, but Grandpa Cass decided to stay in the roundhouse. To be honest, I don't really blame him since he can't exactly go that far constantly, and not to mention he was born before the dieselization days in the 50s, so I don't really blame him for not wanting to go everywhere. And over there's a BL2. The Winnipeg Rail fan is gonna love that. Plus an outdoor layout playing some generic non-copyrighted music.
You can't come in. How do you get in? Oh, there's a gate right there. That's how I got in.
So if you work here one day, there's a gate you can use.
Or you can volunteer. My grandson volunteers here. A little older. And press the button. If the train stops, press the buttons.
Okay.
They're all timers.
Honey, I see something for you.
What is it?
If you see it, do you see it? It's some race cars.
There are race cars up there.
Over there's a CSX locomotive 1507. CSX is the successor to the Baltimore in Ohio, and it has constantly supported the museum in the form of donations, and have had several locomotives visit the museum, including CSX 602, the Spirit of Maryland, and CSX 7262, a CM44AC rebuilt from ex-CSX 350. Recently, CSX 1827 ex-CSX 3059 came to the museum, likely to celebrate 2 years since CSX first revealed their first heritage units, and now this locomotive is visiting. That is C&O 490, one of only a handful of streamlined steam locomotives still remaining in America. And in here are some more locomotives such as the C&O 10-wheeler, Mark 7100, B&O 51, B&O 4500, and C&O 1604. B&O 51 was the first E unit from EMC, which later became EMD. It was the first successful diesel that was built by the company, and would ultimately spell the beginning of the end of the steam locomotives' over 100-year reign as the main power of trains across America. Next to C&O 490 is B&O 4500. It is the first USRA locomotive, that being a USRA 282 Mikado, and is now the only surviving B&O Mikado. Normally it resides alongside B&O 5300 President Washington. However, President Washington was being cosmetically restored as I was making this trip and the video. And over here, this absolute unit is C&O 1604, one of only two 2666 Allegheny-type locomotives preserved in America. Actually, yes. What? I do YouTube.
Me too. I'm now a YouTuber.
He's crying.
I'm now a YouTuber. I'm also a YouTuber. Allegheny.
Yep, this is an Allegheny 1604.
I'm probably going to watch one of these. Look at this. I'm probably going to roll this thing out. I'm going to roll this thing out of here.
Yeah. The one to Henry Ford is a little bit, like, it's not as dusty.
Holy Jesus, that thing is huge.
And over here is Central Railroad of New Jersey 1000. It was the first commercially successful diesel built in 1925, and now it is 100 years old.
Cryotrans number 1200 shipped frozen and refrigerated foods across the United States for nearly 20 years. This revolutionary rail car was built with an extreme height of 17 feet, a capacity of 6,495 cubic feet, and a load capacity of 183,500 tons. Each end of the car was outfitted with a number of manifolds where carbon dioxide would be pumped in. The CO2 or carbon dioxide would travel up to the buffer built into the ceiling, which would fill with the gas and transform into snow. The walls and floor have a series of openings and channels that allow the cold gas to circulate.
Here's a B&O World War II propaganda poster with the B&O 482 mountain type. I then did a small amount of trespassing. Thankfully, the trains weren't running. At least not when we got there, because they already had their round trips. I then reunited with Grandpa Cass, and we saw more of the B&O Railroad Museum, as well as a couple of model railroad layouts.
That's the Belmont Raceway over there.
It's working hard, isn't it? Those diesels are working hard.
Really don't really know this. Here.
When I come to the stations, I have to stop, push this button, and then here comes the Amtrak train, turn on the station. Here's a seat. Need nothing. That's how.
I wonder who put all these two people in the stadium. That's what I have. A J skill.
So do I.
In this other building, they got some stuff.
Oh, that looks like the Locomotive and Sid Meier's Railroads.
What's that?
That's a game I play.
Oh, uh-huh.
And that Locomotive looks like the consolidation that game has.
Mm-hmm. See, these are the ones that were made in, where I lived in Philadelphia, Chester. Baldwin locomotives.
Wow.
What would this be called?
That would be called the Big Boy.
The Big Boy, and it's 88 or 44.
4884. That one up there is called a Northern. Yeah, that's the prototype. That's here at the museum.
Just lights the stuff up.
Yeah.
But this is electric and diesel?
Diesel electric.
Diesel electric.
I think that we could have had a preserved EM-1 around. That model right there is of a B&O EM-1, the biggest locomotives that the Baltimore and Ohio owned, yet sadly none survive. But that wasn't without trying. Supposedly there were 3 attempts to preserve an EM-1, but they all fell short one way or another. The first and biggest story is that in the late 1950s, B&O 7600, the prototype EM-1, and depending on who you're asking, a B&O Big 6 210-2, or 2 of them, and a T3-482 were earmarked for the B&O Railroad Museum. However, while they, or at least the EM-1, was sitting in a yard awaiting a move to the museum, a yardmaster at said yard saw the locomotives, and because of the thought of, hey, so many steam locomotives are being sent for scrapping now, maybe we should put some signs on the locomotives to clarify that these are going to a museum, not for scrap, never crossed anyone's minds, assuming the story is true anyways. The EM-1 and the other locomotives, depending on which version of the story you believe, were sent for scrapping. Although through a bit of karmic retribution, the yardmaster was fired when they found out that he sent the locomotives for scrapping. Then there was a time when Wheeling, West Virginia was offered EM-1 7609 and they refused, so it was cut up. But there is at least one confirmed EM-1 preservation attempt, as the B&O Railroad Museum made a post on Facebook confirming that 659 was supposed to end up at the museum and was cut up for scrap anyways, leaving no EM-1s for future generations to witness. Life's just not fair.
Life's not fair.
What?
Life's not fair.
But maybe there is another me out there in a world where I am seeing a preserved EM-1 at the B&O Railroad Museum, maybe even a Big 6 and a T3-482, but one can dream. This sign here references the restoration of AFT-1 to cosmetic condition, and that locomotive has a bit of history behind her. The locomotive that became AFT-1 was originally a 280 consolidation built for the Reading Railroad, but in 1945, the Reading rebuilt it and several other 280s into T1484s, often called T-Hogs. With that, this particular 484 became 2101. In 1959, the Reading introduced the Iron Horse Rambles, and T1's 2100, 2102, and 2124 saw service, but sadly not 2101, as she was backup power for her sister. Although the Rambles were popular, they ended in 1964, and 2101 was sold to a scrapyard for storage in 1967. In 1975, for the American Bicentennial, the late Ross Rowland, looking for a locomotive to operate in the eastern portion of the U.S. rail system for the American Freedom Train, purchased 2101 and 2100. 2101 was restored to operation, numbered AFT-1. It was used to operate the eastern portion of the American Freedom Train tour. When the tour ended, 2101 was painted into chassis system colors for the 1977 Chassis Steam Special to celebrate 150 years of the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, and she performed amazingly and quickly became very popular with rail fans along the East Coast. But that wouldn't last. On March 6, 1979, as she was in a roundhouse in Russell, Kentucky, nobody knew at the time, but the roundhouse was plagued with faulty wiring, and at any second it could have arced and set off anything. And on that day, the wire finally arced and started a fire. The roundhouse 2101 was in burned for hours with her inside it, and when the firefighters finally doused the fire along with Reading 2101, it was too late to save her and her excursion career. "2101 suffered extensive damage to her boiler, side rods, and tender. A rebuild for her to put her back into sound condition was deemed to be too costly, and she was retired from her second career. 2101 would never run again." Fortunately, 2101 was never scrapped. Instead, she was swapped for C&O 614, which was at the B&O Railroad Museum. The locomotive was restored to operation and in 1981 pulled a chassis safety special, and a variety of more excursions until 1999, and sat inactive until 2025 when she was bought by a group and arrived at Strasburg just weeks before Ross Rowland tragically passed away. As for 2101, her tender was swapped for 2100's tender, which would later be converted from coal to oil firing, and although she sat for years rusting, finally the museum has gone to work on cosmetically restoring her for the 250th anniversary of the United States. As for a full restoration, that doesn't seem likely anytime soon for 2101, especially with the fact that her sisters 2102 and 2100 are now either restored and operating in 2102's case, or being restored in 2100's case. While the odds of 2101 running again aren't absolute zero, I think the best thing out of this is that 2101 is still around, and while she may not be running, she is indeed safe and sound, with some touches of paint being put on her, and at least her sisters continue on the legacy of her class of T-Hogs. And with that, our trip to the B&O Railroad Museum has concluded. It's now time to head back, and on our way to Penn Station, we saw this one truck with the Amtrak logo on the side. We're now going to take the light rail back to Penn Station, although we did have to wait for a bit, probably because of a broken down light rail train somewhere along the line.
Please use the handrails for your safety. Why would you think, right?
Next station, Lexington Market.
Not like you got it.
Oh, that explains a lot.
We passed the broken down light rail train at Lexington Market Station.
Okay, maybe that train's broken down. Didn't look like it hit any cars or anything. Maybe it did. Yeah, maybe it broke down.
Center Street. Next station, Cultural Center. This station is Cultural Center. Next station, University of Baltimore, Mount Royal. This station is University of Baltimore, Mount Royal.
And that is why I told that one girl that it's absolutely stupid to sit on the tracks. Yet she said, "You're not my parents."
This is it.
We have now made it back to Baltimore Penn Station and are going to travel on Amtrak from here to Manassas. A little after 5 p.m., our train that we'll ride on finally arrives. This is the Crescent, which is the oldest operational train in America. I know that because a Southern Railway foamer on my Discord told me so, and totally not because said foamer has a shotgun to my head so that I won't say that the Sunset Limited is the oldest train in America. This train travels from New York City to New Orleans, Louisiana. However, we will only travel as far as Manassas, Virginia, as mentioned earlier. Why are we taking a long distance train? Well, we needed the time to leave Baltimore, and the Crescent schedule just so happened to have had the most convenient time for us.
Make your way to where you see a member of the crew. All doors will not open. Thank you for riding Amtrak. Be mindful of the gap between train and the station platform.
Past it, I think.
No, I think it's right here.
Okay.
Sorry?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was gonna say that I wanted the window seat.
I know you want it. This is a nicer thing.
Yeah.
Amtrak Train 19. Amtrak Train 19. If your ticket is not for Amtrak Train 19, please, please, please do not board this train.
And we're off. Soon enough, our train departs Baltimore Station, and we're off towards Manassas.
Because they're running out of tickets.
So are you talking to me? I just he just closed his one. I mean, the day is Thursday. Yeah, he closed his one. So, the lady, Saturday, well, she just held Sunday today only because she had to go in because the folks did it was doing all of the repairs that they were supposed to, everything like code. So she leaving tomorrow. Back with him that she was going in this Saturday.
So you know this doesn't stop at those stops?
She would pay for it out of here.
Yes.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not had your ticket scanned, bring your ticket out for inspection. Please and thank you.
Yeah, let's leave this that neighborhood completely unguarded over a 135 miles per hour railroad. What could go wrong?
This train in there for its departure in DC. Ladies and gentlemen, once we get to DC, we will be changing from electric to a diesel engine. What that means is, once that electric engine is on, there will be no power. So if you need to use the restroom, we're asking you to please use the restroom now. They will sanitize and clean the restrooms. They will be locked until the dark, because there will be no power. Also, when your children go inside, please be mindful that they do not stop up the toilets, because once the toilet is stopped up, that one toilet in that section will be out of service. Be kind to one another, be courteous to one another. Just a few moments, we will be arriving into Washington, D.C. Thank you for riding Amtrak.
You traded, Lee. You left the train. Mr. Brown. You said the train didn't leave you. You left the train. Oh, that's what y'all, okay. You're calling with your mother. Everybody It's like crazy. I was just telling them, I believe this is a space shop for New Orleans the last time. No, I haven't done anything.
Attention passengers. This is your coach car attendant speaking, letting you know that I will not be able to clean the restroom behind every passenger that uses it. So please do me a favor and keep the bathrooms in the order you would like to receive them.
It wasn't how far you had to take this home. You would have heard.
Jesus. Hey, I think when the original Metro liners came into service, there were stories that they would like literally blow out the windows of the Pennsylvania Railroad's MP54 cars, and they got a bit pissy about that, and that hence the reason that the MP54s ultimately got replaced by Silverliner 4s. Maybe that could have been a reason why we were going slowly just now, or there was construction right there. Or both.
Yeah, that's what we saw on the way up.
Maybe we could be going through a slow zone speed restriction.
Could be the heat too, you know?
Yeah. I love to ride on the
Maybe just on the coast of Washington.
TV show. It doesn't really matter just where I go. I'm on my way, on my way, on my way, yeah. The whole wide world goes passing by.
After Washington, D.C., we will have a sold-out train. All seats will be filled. After Washington, D.C., and Alexandria, all seats will be filled. So as a small favor, when the seats started to free up in Washington, D.C., please do not switch seats. Please do not switch seats. When the car fills up, everyone will be sitting next to someone. Again, everyone will be sitting next to someone. After Alexandria, Virginia, everyone will be sitting next to someone. So, after Washington, D.C., once we get there, please do not switch seats. Please do not switch seats. Thank you.
Under a beautiful sunny sky, everything's perfect, oh me, oh my, I'm riding on a train. I'm riding on a train. I'm riding on a train. We're back at New Carrolton, but we won't be stopping here this time.
You okay? Yeah. small train, isn't it?
For some reason, only now when we're in the final miles towards DC do we speed up.
All right, y'all. Y'all have a good trip, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Yes, sir.
All right, take care.
Home.
You have a good day.
I gotta go lay in that good.
We'll see you coming back.
Good hot water.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now arriving into our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. This will be a crew change point. You will lose. By the time we stop this train, it will be almost 6 o'clock. If you are going to run the gauntlet and go inside, be back at this train by 6:20. If you have mobile ordering, order McDonald's or Cane's now, so you can go up there, get it, and come back.
That's crazy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Washington, D.C. There will be a crew change. New conductors will come on and scan your ticket. They will re-scan your ticket.
Someone else. So you are forewarned. Early reminder. Please do not have any bags in empty seats. Please do not have any bags taking up the empty seats unless you paid for 2 seats. Again, please do not have bags sitting in empty seats unless you paid for 2 seats. Everyone will be sitting next to someone after reminder, again, an early reminder. Thank you.
Do you ever go with a sleeper? Do you ever go with? No, I haven't. I haven't done that yet. I did. It was nice. It was nice. Did you get? They do one like for 2 weeks. I think. Okay. We had 2. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. When we went to Chicago. Oh, okay. Okay.
We're back at Washington, D.C., and we're going to switch from electric power to diesel power. Unlike the corridor trains where Amtrak has a new fleet replacement / upgrade in store to ultimately help corridor trains reduce time at D.C., Amtrak has yet to address the long-distance trains that pass through D.C., such as the Crescent, Silver Meteor, Cardinal, and if the Silver Star is back in action when you're watching this, that train too. I hope Amtrak will probably do something like order dual-mode catenary and diesel locomotives at some point, but I am not guaranteeing that happening right now. The diesels for our train arrive, and they will be Amtrak ALC 42 317 and an unknown Amtrak P42 DC. Now that the engines are coupled, I got back onto the train.
One stop, we got one stop. There's 4 hours and 3 minutes or 30 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention please? I'd like to welcome you aboard Amtrak 19. Ladies and gentlemen, new set of conductors are on board. You would need to have your tickets out to be scanned. Again, new set of conductors on board. Ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you please use headphones with all electronic devices. Again, please use headphones with all electronic devices. Speakerphone is not allowed on Amtrak trains.
Oh, yeah. I told you I got eyes on him, so you know I'm not worried about it.
Also, ladies and gentlemen, no smoking, no vaping on this train. If you are found smoking or vaping, you will be put off the train. If we are told about you smoking or vaping, you will be escorted off the train. Ladies and gentlemen, our next scheduled station stop will be Alexandria. Our next scheduled station stop will be Alexandria.
We have once again departed Washington Union Station with our next stop at Alexandria.
Manassas, both of you?
Yes.
Yes.
Charlottesville?
Just fine.
Salisbury, Charlotte.
From Washington to Charlottesville, it's dancing on the line. Can the old Midwestern Limited train number 5 on time? She was the Cincinnati train, the fastest on the line. through the valley of Virginia into Clifton Forge on time. They're building a brand new train bridge over there.
Ladies and gentlemen,
She won $1 million.
we ask that you please do not switch seats. When you see seats become available, please do not change seats. If you do, you will be asked to move back to your original seat. Again, please do not change seats once you are assigned a seat.
So she had won $1 million.
Tender?
Very serious. Okay. I'll show you guys what she said. This is
You don't want to come back, I bet you that. And guess what? You don't see nobody, none of that stuff. And nobody can see as to change. You don't see none of that. You don't see nothing but people with, you know? You don't see none of that stuff. Not none of it. I love it. Encouraging the way the child is because, you know, like this, people are wasting their life. I love it. All right, just checking in, man. All right, see you later. Yes, sir.
We've made our stop at Alexandria, though I think we stayed here a lot longer than we should have because I thought we were here for like 20 minutes or something.
Are we going now? Yep. Yep.
We have now departed Alexandria, and the next stop will be Manassas, our stop.
Next station stop, 35 minutes is Manassas. Manassas is up next, 35 minutes to Manassas.
The little girl, the little black girl, that's famous now. Yep. That's boy, he does it.
You want to take my phone?
Yep.
It's charging. Manassas is next, okay?
All right.
Manassas is next. Next.
Yeah, what's up, buddy? What? Heck yeah. Yeah? Yeah, I heard you say that. Sound like it was far away, though. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's the 1, 2, 3. That's the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Around this point in time in the trip though, my camera was getting pretty hot, and so I decided to use it a lot less since I at one point had a recording stop because of how hot it was.
Ladies and gentlemen, just a few short moments, we're going to be arriving in Manassas. If Manassas, you'll stop, please grab your belongings and make your way to the door. And the airport, remember, not all doors will open again, not all doors will open. Manassas, coming up.
Alright. We finally made it to Manassas Station, where we would get off the train.
Excuse me, I'm coming. Thank you. Gotta get some more. Excuse me.
Thank you, ma'am. Alright, and that ends our trip on the Crescent. Wasn't exactly a long trip, but it was still a fun one. Yeah, for sure. Not long afterwards, the train departed from Manassas, New Orleans bound.
Oh, really?
No. Yes, it goes all the way. Yeah, it's a good train. It goes all the way to New Orleans. After I finished recording the train, we then went to a restaurant for some sushi and then headed home.